Okay, here is the rewritten content for your YouTube channel, Wisdom and Wealth, tailored for an older audience, with the requested word count increase, encouragements to like and subscribe, and paragraph structure. Hello everyone, and welcome to Wisdom and Wealth. If you're new here, we explore timeless wisdom for a richer, more meaningful life. Go ahead and click that like button, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Have you ever paused amidst the relentless rush of the modern world, observed the hurried footsteps, the ever-blinking screens, the unanswered calls, and simply wondered how to find that still, quiet space within yourself? Not necessarily a place to escape to, but rather a serene sanctuary where everything feels just a bit lighter, where your breath becomes your trusted anchor, and your heart doesn't feel as though it's perpetually sprinting just to keep up with the unrelenting pace of life. There is something profoundly ancient embedded within that search, a deep-seated longing not merely to exist, but to genuinely feel a sense of lasting peace while living. This longing is not new, it's a sentiment shared by countless individuals throughout history, stretching back thousands of years. Long before the incessant noise and distractions of our modern existence, there were those who deliberately sought stillness, sitting in quiet contemplation, carefully watching the gentle flow of rivers, consciously listening to the profound silence, and, in doing so, learning something that most of us tend to forget, that everything we are searching for out there may very well already be right here, deep within us, patiently waiting to be discovered. Now, if you're finding this helpful, please consider subscribing. There's a teaching passed down through generations within various Buddhist traditions that speaks gently, yet with a surprising power, directly to that very longing. It doesn't shout, nor does it attempt to aggressively convince you, it simply and elegantly reminds us that everything in life is inherently transient, continually passing. And the more tightly we try to grasp and hold on to it all, our relationships, our hard-earned status, our fleeting moments, the more suffering we inevitably create for ourselves. But if we could consciously loosen our grip, just a little, we might slowly begin to feel something altogether different, something far softer, something ultimately truer. Think of this old parable. Once upon a time, a young monk was carefully given a beautiful porcelain cup by his wise teacher. It was a simple yet elegant cup, the kind of object you instinctively hold with both hands, appreciating its delicate beauty. The monk immediately loved that cup, not just for its exquisite appearance, but also for what it symbolized to him, mindfulness and presence. He kept it with him always, cleaning it with devoted care, even taking time to admire how the light gracefully danced on its smooth surface. Then, one fateful day, the cup unexpectedly slipped from his grasp and shattered on the unforgiving ground, scattering into 1,000 irreparable pieces across the cold stone floor. He stood there, gazing down at the broken shards, his heart heavy with sorrow, his breath momentarily caught in his chest. But his master, who was watching nearby with gentle understanding, calmly spoke, saying, "That cup was already broken." Those poignant words didn't suggest that the master was uncaring or indifferent to the loss, rather, they meant that he understood something far deeper about the very nature of existence. That is that everything we hold dear is already on its inevitable journey toward change, toward ending, toward being reborn into something entirely new. When we truly accept this fundamental truth, we don't become numb to life, we become liberated. We start to cherish without clinging, to love without the consuming fear of loss, to experience each moment fully without feeling the constant need to control its outcome. This isn't indifference, it's wisdom, a profound freedom that allows us to feel everything more intensely, because we are no longer fruitlessly trying to force anything to remain static. Now, halfway through, let's encourage viewers to like and subscribe again. If you're getting value out of this, please like and subscribe. So many of us walk through life carrying invisible, yet substantial, weight. We carry lingering memories of what we used to have, often unrealistic expectations of what things should be, and complicated relationships that we continue holding onto even when they no longer serve us or even hold us back. We fear what might happen if we finally let go of these things. Will we feel empty? Will we lose ourselves entirely? But often, it's precisely in the gentle act of letting go that we truly meet ourselves for the very first time, not the version of ourselves shaped by external roles and fleeting desires, but the authentic one underneath all the accumulated layers, the one that inherently knows how to breathe deeply and remain calm, even when the world feels oppressively heavy. Buddhist teachings often remind us that suffering isn't solely born from physical or emotional pain, it's born from resistance, from our inherent unwillingness to fully accept that the flowing river of life never stops moving, never stops changing course. We instinctively try to grab the water as it ceaselessly flows, but it inevitably slips right through our fingers, leaving us feeling frustrated and profoundly empty-handed. But imagine, if we could learn to move and adapt with the natural rhythm of the river, trust that what flows away naturally makes space for something new and positive that's truly meant to arrive in our lives. There is a quiet kind of inherent power in surrender, not the surrender of abject defeat, but the surrender of deep understanding, the knowing that you don't have to rigidly control every single outcome to feel safe and secure. That authentic safety doesn't come from artificially imposed stability in the outside world, but rather from your deeply cultivated ability to peacefully sit with impermanence, and still breathe calmly. It's often incredibly difficult to see this profound truth when you're in the throes of a significant loss, when someone you deeply love leaves your life, when a promising job unexpectedly falls through, when the carefully envisioned life you had so painstakingly imagined crumbles before your very eyes. Yet, so often, in retrospect, we look back and gradually realize that what initially felt like a devastating ending was actually a brand new beginning in disguise, that the seemingly empty space created by the loss was precisely the same space where something entirely new and beautiful could eventually grow. It's just that, at the time, our eyes were far too full of tears to clearly see it. To practice detachment doesn't mean we stop loving passionately. It means we love more purely, without binding chains or unrealistic expectations. It means being mindfully present enough to truly appreciate what we have right now, while also wisely knowing that it may not always remain. And when it inevitably goes, we grieve deeply, yes, but we don't break. We softly bend with the winds of change, we consciously allow the transition to occur, and, in the process, we grow into stronger, more resilient individuals. And once you've genuinely learned how to let go, something truly special becomes possible: acceptance. Not just accepting that things will inevitably change, but genuinely accepting what is happening right now, in this present moment, without actively fighting against it. Once, a devoted disciple came to his wise master, deeply distressed, and sadly said, "Master, I suffer greatly because life isn't the way I so desperately want it to be." The master didn't scold him, he simply smiled gently and said, "Think of it like standing at the edge of the vast ocean. A wave is inevitably coming. You can curse it, frantically try to stop it, plant your feet firmly in the sand and brace yourself for its powerful crash, or you can choose to dive directly into it, trusting it to carry you effortlessly. It's still the same wave, the difference lies entirely in how you decide to consciously meet it." Life, like the ocean, inevitably brings many waves, some of them small and gentle, others so large and forceful that they threaten to knock you right off your feet. But resisting those waves only makes the fall far harder and more painful. When we consciously accept what's placed right in front of us, without dramatizing it or denying its very existence, we create the necessary space to respond with clarity and wisdom, like a skilled archer thoughtfully adjusting for the wind's effects. The archer doesn't curse the wind, he learns from it, adapts to it, and then tries again with renewed understanding. Sometimes, we mistakenly think that fully accepting something means we are inherently weak, that we're passively letting go of the important fight. But, in truth, acceptance gives us far more power, not less. It removes the immense weight of constant struggle and gives us back our energy and strength. It lets us purposefully put our valuable energy where it truly belongs, into what we can actively do, not endlessly wishing for what we can never change. That profound shift, consciously changing the primary question from, "Why is this awful thing happening to me?" to, "What invaluable lessons is this difficult situation here to teach me?" can dramatically transform everything. It bravely takes intense suffering and slowly turns it into sustainable growth. It converts agonizing pain into lasting wisdom, and ultimately, it transforms life itself into a patient and benevolent teacher, rather than an endless and exhausting battle. Yet, perhaps the most difficult acceptance of all is diligently accepting ourselves, our inevitable flaws, our deep regrets, the moments we desperately wish we could undo, the ill-chosen words we intensely wish we could instantly take back. So often, our harshest resistance isn't directed toward the external world, it's agonizingly directed inward, toward ourselves. We often carry gnawing guilt like heavy, burdensome armor. We punish ourselves mercilessly, long after others have forgiven us for perceived transgressions. But punishment doesn't create lasting change, compassion does. That same monk who quietly watched his beloved cup shatter into countless pieces didn't curse himself relentlessly, he didn't grieve forever. He consciously understood that the cup had always been temporary, just like everything else in this world. And in that conscious understanding, he peacefully found solace, a deep, lasting peace that emanates not from striving for perfection, but from cultivating mindful presence, from carefully trusting that what is truly meant for you in this life will inevitably find you, and what is not meant for you will naturally fall away. It's undeniably easy to speak of detachment and acceptance in theory, it's far harder to genuinely live them in practice. But that's precisely why we diligently walk this challenging path, not to somehow become perfect, but to keep returning to the present moment, to keep consciously remembering our inherent worth, and to keep confidently trusting that each meaningful step we take, no matter how seemingly small or insignificant, carries us steadily closer to a fuller, freer, and far more authentic way of simply being. Thank you for joining Wisdom and Wealth today. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe for more content designed to help you live a richer, more fulfilling life. There is something deeply humbling about gradually realizing just how little control we actually have over the intricate way life unfolds. You can carefully plan with meticulous precision, purposefully set intentions with unwavering care, and passionately dream with every fiber of your heart, and still things won't always go exactly as you had initially imagined. That sobering realization, when it first hits, can feel like a profound grief, like a cruel betrayal of your devoted effort. You might start to question everything. Was I not disciplined enough? Did I inadvertently miss a critical sign? Could I have possibly done more? But, slowly and gently, as time inevitably softens the sharp edges of those agonizing questions, you'll slowly begin to consciously understand that rigid control was never truly the point. Mindful presence was. That conscious shift from relentlessly trying to exert control to deliberately choosing to simply be present is one of the quietest, yet most profoundly transformative, revolutions a person can ever experience. And yet, it fundamentally changes everything. It certainly doesn't make you passive or indifferent, it doesn't mean you suddenly stop caring about anything. It simply means you slowly begin to live with your eyes wide open, your heart vulnerable, your hands generously open, not tightly clenched, not desperately clinging to what must eventually be released. You slowly begin to see life not as a complex problem to be solved, but as a beautiful dance to mindfully move through. There's a timeless story of a solitary monk quietly walking through a dense forest. His bare feet barely make a sound on the soft earth, and his pace is deliberately slow and measured. He carries nothing of worldly value, only a small cloth bag to hold his few possessions and a simple bowl for gratefully collecting food along the path. As he walks peacefully, he is unexpectedly bitten by a snake, not a deadly one, but enough to cause sharp pain. He doesn't scream out in alarm, he doesn't curse the snake for its instinctive action. He simply and calmly sits down beneath a large tree, breathes deeply, and waits. When asked later why he didn't panic, he wisely replies, because pain is simply part of the path, panic is optional. That simple, yet profoundly impactful, story often stays with you, doesn't it? Not because it irrationally tells you to suppress your emotions, but because it gently reminds you that your conscious response is where your true freedom actually lives. We may not actively choose every moment of pain in our lives, but we do consciously choose how we meet it, whether we meet it with clenched fists, fueled by resistance and paralyzing fear, or with a deep, cleansing breath and mindful presence. One inevitably brings agonizing suffering, the other ultimately brings deep wisdom. Life, in its purest and most fundamental form, is always changing. That's not a flaw, that's the very essence of its intricately beautiful design. Everything you deeply love, everything you relentlessly struggle with, everything you desperately fear, it's all constantly moving, steadily evolving, purposefully becoming. And so are you. Every single day, you're being asked to mindfully let go. Sometimes, the most significant breakthroughs don't come from greedily gaining something entirely new, they come from willingly losing something we erroneously thought we desperately needed, a prestigious title, a dysfunctional relationship, an inflexible idea of what our life should undoubtedly look like. And when that inevitable loss occurs, we're suddenly left standing in a quiet nakedness, exposed and vulnerable, but also profoundly free. Free to thoughtfully ask ourselves different, far more meaningful questions, free to consciously move differently through the world, free to bravely stop performing for an audience that was never really watching as closely as we had previously thought. You slowly begin to see that most of what made you feel profoundly unworthy wasn't truly yours to carry in the first place. It was inadvertently inherited, thoughtlessly taught, repeatedly reinforced by the external world, but it was never your inherent truth. Your enduring truth is the way your own heart gently softens when you consciously hold a child, the way your breath naturally slows when you pause to watch the moon, the way something deep inside you inherently knows how to heal, even when your overactive mind is still desperately trying to fully understand the depth of the hurt. To mindfully live with awareness isn't to somehow live without any pain, it's to live with unwavering honesty, to bravely admit when you're deeply tired, to humbly ask for help when you need it, to courageously say, "I honestly don't know," without feeling a shred of self-inflicted shame, and to stop pretending that the long journey to authentic healing is always a straight line. It's undeniably messy, it's often circular. Some days, you'll feel 10 giant steps ahead, some days, you'll sadly feel as though you've frustratingly gone backward. But you haven't. You're spiraling ever deeper, not regressing. You're mindfully peeling back layers, eventually coming home to that deeply comforting home within you. That profound home doesn't need to be meticulously built, it's already inherently there. You've simply been away from it for a while, momentarily distracted and unconsciously pulled by the constant noise and incessant striving, mistakenly convinced that genuine safety lived solely in external success, that authentic love constantly needed to be earned, and that restful peace always had to be diligently justified. But now you're wisely learning a completely different way, a much quieter way, one where restful peace is seen as an inherent right, not a conditional reward, where pure love sincerely begins with how gently and kindly you consciously speak to yourself, where authentic peace isn't something you desperately find at the very end of a long and arduous path, it's the solid ground beneath your feet, right now, if you simply choose to feel it.